Symphony of a Beautiful Rambling Mind. Mental Wellness. Video Essay. Part 1. Introduction to the Architecture of a Beautiful Rambling Mind. Today's date is July 18, 2026, 2 days after my 42nd birthday. I am sitting down to write this update with a deliberate goal: to take the massive, non-linear, rambling torrent of thoughts inside my head and synthesize them into something coherent and informative. Anyone who has followed my journey across hours of video essays knows that my mind never seems able to sit still and simply relax. Instead, I am permanently consumed by a vast, interconnected web of philosophy, psychology, theology, sociology, history, science, politics, piano, painting, modern conflicts like Ukraine and Iran, and the tragic historical suffering of the Holocaust, alongside the millions of thoughts and hobbies I pursue daily. For years, the nature of this mental state was fueled by an intense, consuming confusion and a bitter anger. I was outrageously depressed and angry at seemingly everything: the fragility of human life, the corrupt nature of certain people, the grotesque evil in the world, and even the failure of my own parents to properly nurture, protect, and take care of me. I will carry that raw, intense fury close to my chest for the rest of my life. But there is hope. Some genuinely good developments have occurred in my life lately. As I cross the threshold into my 42nd year alive on this marvelous planet Earth that we all share, I sense that something fundamental is shifting in my mind and spirit. The overarching message I have to report today is incredibly positive. Despite the severe physical and mental struggles that still define my daily existence, I am winning. I am choosing life, and the momentum is finally moving forward. Part 2. The anatomy of trauma, dissociation, and the toll it takes on the mind and body. To understand how genuine healing and recovery actually occur, it is necessary to examine the profound psychological terrain shaped by severe, repeated trauma. When a child is subjected to environments of overwhelming terror, the resulting stress response is not a choice or a character flaw. It becomes a fundamentally altered baseline of reality, stemming from structural adaptations within a delicate central nervous system forced to survive under extreme conditions. When early development is marked by severe neglect, abandonment, or abuse, the nervous system adapts for immediate survival rather than long-term safety. Without a conscious choice, my default baseline became a hypervigilant anticipation of danger or death, where expecting worst-case scenarios was the only automatic way to navigate a world that felt inherently unsafe. Faced with unbearable levels of chronic pain and stress, the human brain adapts through powerful defense mechanisms, the most profound being severe dissociation. For decades, my mind managed overwhelming reality by simply tuning it out, learning to mentally disconnect from trauma even while actively living through it. This creates a terrifying psychological paradox. A primary symptom of severe trauma is that the brain obscures the full reality of the damage, allowing you to forget the depth of your own suffering just to carry the daily weight of existing. To survive this invisible burden, I naturally sought out powerful external anchors and heavy distractions to steady my nervous system. I threw all of my energy into immersive focus, learning, practicing, and playing piano, binge-watching true crime on YouTube, losing myself in expansive single-player video games, caring for my 2 little puppies, and, because I am a lifelong nerd, studying complex philosophy, advanced scientific concepts, and tackling the hardest academic questions known to man. These pursuits were not mere hobbies. They were safe sanctuaries, vital intellectual anchors offering my mind space to focus while my nervous system slowly attempted to steady itself. Part 3. Traumatic generational echoes and learned helplessness. The roots of profound psychological damage often trace back directly to early family dynamics and generational conditioning. Raising a healthy human being requires a foundation of consistent love, support, and emotional regulation provided by compassionate, cooperative caregivers. In my own life, while I know my mother did the absolute best she could with the tools she had, the two primary father figures in my world were negligent and lacked compassion. When primary guardians remain entangled in their own unaddressed generational trauma, those unresolved wounds inevitably ripple downward, a cycle where the pain just rolls downhill. Instead of seeking professional therapy to break the cycle and become competent parents, broken adults inadvertently pass the burning torch of their trauma directly to their children. Breaking these generational cycles requires an intentional, solemn decision. I made a conscious choice and a solemn vow never to treat my own children like that, choosing to use my lived pain as a blueprint for what not to repeat, so my daughters receive the safety and nurture they deserve. When emotional abandonment is severe, it frequently fosters a deep state of learned helplessness. I didn't learn how to love or preserve myself correctly. Instead, I learned to sit passively in my brokenness, staying small, quiet, and immobile within chronic pain, rather than believing I possessed the agency to change my circumstances. For 20 years, this was my daily reality, waking up every morning feeling entirely unloved, entirely unsafe, and living with daily suicidal ideation. This sense of isolation was compounded when my adult family continued patterns of emotional unavailability, flatly refusing to watch the 3-hour documentary on surviving narcissistic marital abuse that I spent years pouring my soul into for the education of others. When you feel consistently unseen by those who should care most, it is easy to fall into the trap of waiting for an external savior, hoping a relative or outside force will step in to repair the damage. Until the realization finally dawns, true recovery cannot be handed to you. It must be claimed from within. Part 4. The Seroquel shift and confronting physical pain. Real psychological and physical breakthroughs often begin when you directly confront long-standing chemical dependencies and medical sedations. For over 15 years, spanning the prime of my life from age 25 to 40, I lived in a thick, medication-induced haze. Like many living with chronic trauma, I relied on prescription sedatives and antipsychotics like Seroquel to artificially override the terror of sleep and quiet an unbearable reality. While such medications offer temporary survival relief during acute crisis, prolonged heavy sedation keeps you emotionally muted and disconnected from your own physical body. After making the radical decision to stop taking Seroquel, the result for me was nothing short of a miracle. For the first time in living memory, I am waking up naturally at dawn, enjoying the morning birds at my new feeders, taking a shower first thing every day, and completely overhauling my diet. Rising consistently, caring for your body, and actively participating in the morning are the fundamental metrics for measuring true relief from severe depression. However, clearing a chemical haze frequently exposes raw, underlying physical realities that were previously suppressed. Without heavy sedation masking my body's signals, I was forced to confront the fact that I wake up in excruciating daily physical pain from a severe chronic digestive issue. When my ex-wife confirmed I suffered from these exact stomach issues almost every day during our marriage, it proved just how deeply my brain had dissociated from my own physical suffering. Confronting this hidden pain is precisely where you actively dismantle the cycle of learned helplessness. While severe PTSD requires radical, unconditional empathy, overcoming learned helplessness demands decisive, accountable action. Through my clinical background, I recognized it was time to tell myself to stop sitting passively, step up as an adult, and utilize the VA healthcare network to find real medical answers. Taking charge of your physical health marks the ultimate rejection of passive suffering, replacing the desire for escape with a firm commitment to restoring vitality. Part 5. Grounding in the present. Creative sanctuaries and animals as life-saving support infrastructure. Sustained recovery from chronic trauma requires tangible, physical anchors in the present moment, environments where safety, agency, and constructive focus can take root. After enduring a difficult divorce 4 years ago and living confined in a second-floor apartment, buying my classic early 1900s home in Granville, New York has provided me with that exact foundation. Investing physical energy into improving a home, cultivating a garden, or creating functional outdoor spaces allows a recovering mind to transition out of survival mode and into an active state of stewardship. For me, that stewardship looks like transforming my yard into a bird sanctuary around a massive 30-foot tree stump, or clearing old wood behind the garage to build what I jokingly call the Swinger's Grotto, complete with lawn swings and a bird bath. When a person chooses social boundaries to protect a fragile nervous system while rebuilding trust, engaging in joyful, light-hearted home projects provides constructive purpose without the stress of interpersonal conflict. Humor and creative expression are powerful therapeutic tools that restore playfulness to a life previously dominated by threat and hypervigilance. Beyond physical space, the presence of companion animals frequently serves as a critical, life-saving intervention for trauma survivors. I have officially stopped referring to my 2 dogs, Jeffy and Marty, as mere pets and now classify them as my advanced, life-saving medical equipment. When human relationships have historically yielded betrayal, neglect, or emotional abuse, the constant attachment offered by animals provides a safe baseline of unconditional love. Jeffy and Marty give me a concrete reason to get out of bed every morning, keeping me walking miles every single day, establishing non-negotiable daily rhythms, and ensuring I keep fighting to heal. They gently force a recovering mind out of bed, past passive isolation, and back into active engagement with the living world. Part 6. The integration of philosophical frameworks and clinical purpose. At the heart of deep psychological recovery lies the capacity to translate individual suffering into universal, meaningful frameworks. With a master's degree in clinical therapy, my mind naturally filters personal struggles through these universal concepts, turning pain from an isolated burden into a rich lens for understanding and healing the broader human condition. Navigating the ultimate questions of existence often leads to a balanced, intellectually humble stance, such as an agnostic perspective that acknowledges the limits of human knowledge. I consider myself an agnostic Christian, recognizing that while dogmatic certainty and absolute atheism both carry intellectual hubris, leaning into even a tiny 1% margin of hope offers vital protection against the despair of pure nihilism. Believing that life may possess underlying purpose and meaning provides the spiritual stamina needed to heal a fractured mind and body. In clinical practice, this existential grounding pairs powerfully with a rigorous mastery of psychological science. I become completely alive studying clinical evolution, having thoroughly mastered the DSM-V and eagerly anticipating how the upcoming DSM-VI will address modern challenges like screen addiction, social media disorders, and digital self-image pathologies. As diagnostic literature evolves, practitioners must adapt to contemporary psychological realities, meeting patients where they are today rather than relying on outdated paradigms from decades past. My long-term ambition remains firm, returning to academic study to earn my doctorate in psychiatric medicine, forging the fire I survived into a clinical tool to serve others. When an individual endures intense psychological torment, survives, and rigorously educates themselves in healthcare, the trial by fire becomes a forged weapon of empathy and expertise. By grounding personal recovery in a commitment to the greater good, individual healing becomes the essential prerequisite for making a lasting positive impact on the world. Part 7. Music as a metaphor and therapeutic canvas for human expression. Music serves as the ultimate therapeutic canvas where abstract philosophy and lived trauma intersect. Thanks to my high-end Casio Salviano digital upright piano, my technical skills are finally matching my creative ambitions, turning my instruments into vital vessels for processing complex human emotion. When technical proficiency meets deep creative ambition, an instrument becomes far more than a tool for entertainment. It becomes a vital vessel for honoring the full spectrum of human experience, from quiet joy to the darkest, most visceral realities. In my arrangement, Greensleeves of Bitter Descent, I stripped away the 400-year-old passive longing of the original tune, transforming it into a dark narrative tracking the painful structural collapse of my 10-year marriage. By taking traditional, centuries-old melodies and reimagining them with modern narrative themes, an artist can process profound personal grief and externalize heartbreak, betrayal, and existential despair in ways that spoken therapy or regular prose cannot replicate. In my piece, Holocaust Lullaby, I set the historical names of concentration camps to handle Seraband, creating a structural memorial that forces a confrontational perspective with the absolute limits of human endurance. Reflecting on how human beings found the fortitude to survive through history's deepest atrocities reminds me that I, too, possess the internal strength to navigate my own personal battles. Beyond custom compositions, engaging deeply with complex music theory offers a profound sense of psychological grounding. My technical passion for the Baroque era centers heavily on basso continuo, where repeating ground bass lines provide an unwavering foundation beneath chaotic thoughts. Whether playing the 8-chord ground bass of Pachelbel's Canon in D, or watching Handel's Passacaglia step flawlessly through the circle of fifths in G minor, structural symmetry in music acts as a stabilizing force when the internal mental landscape feels overwhelmed by trauma. Immersing oneself in predictable, beautifully structured musical geometry anchors the mind, providing order, predictability, and deep emotional peace. Part 8. Conclusion: Choosing Life in 2026. Ultimately, my journey comes down to a fundamental appreciation for the era I am living in. It is 2026, and we possess the most advanced technology and medical understanding in human history. Beyond my clinical interests and musical maps, I have a beautifully simple, tangible anchor keeping me excited for the future: the upcoming release of Grand Theft Auto 6 this November. As a lifelong fan who has played every iteration since the original top-down games, the scale of this upcoming $2 billion world simulator is mind-boggling. The sheer detail of its virtual world serves as a brilliant reminder of the creativity human beings are capable of, and I want to be alive, healthy, and thriving to experience it. Sustaining a genuine desire to live often relies on simple, accessible milestones that generate authentic excitement, pulling the mind forward out of the past. I am no longer wallowing in the chaos of my past. My daughters, Mia and Amelia, are coming to visit me at my new home later this summer, and they are my ultimate biological and evolutionary reason to stay strong. Reconnecting with loved ones rekindles a deep, fundamental purpose to remain healthy and resilient, They need me, my dogs Jeffrey and Marty need me, and I finally need myself. Caretaking transforms from a heavy burden into a life-affirming anchor. Yet true recovery requires going one step further, moving beyond serving others to realizing that you must also become essential to yourself. I am stepping out of the shadows of childhood neglect, moving past the wreckage of an abusive marriage, and defeating learned helplessness, one doctor's appointment and one piano note at a time. I am taking my life back. Reclaiming a life requires stepping decisively out of historical abandonment and systematically dismantling learned helplessness through simple, daily proactive choices. To anyone reading or listening, stay healthy, stay happy, and know that you are valued. Even as a philosopher who operates daily in the space of systemic doubt, I choose the path of light. God bless you. I love you. Peace. Part 9. Closing Reflections. The Peer-to-Peer Synthesis. When you stand back and look at the entire arc of this essay, from the initial chaotic noise of childhood neglect to the structured mathematical symmetry of a Handel Passacaglia, a clear pattern emerges. Trauma tries to force a life into a single, permanent narrative of reaction, hypervigilance, dissociation, chemical numbing, and learned helplessness, convincing the brain that safety can only ever be defensive. What this journey demonstrates, however, is that true healing isn't the total absence of pain or the sudden erasure of a dark past. It is the active reclamation of agency. It is choosing to wake up at dawn not because a prescription forced sleep to end, but because the birds outside are worth hearing. It is taking the overwhelming noise of a hyperactive mind and channeling it through the predictable grounding mechanics of basso continuo or the structured rigor of clinical diagnostics. It is looking at a body that has carried silent physical agony for years and deciding that sucking it up is no longer an acceptable survival strategy. Ultimately, using one's own life as a case study reveals a simple truth. We are not bound to remain the debris of someone else's unaddressed generational cycles. By combining the intellectual clarity of a counselor, the emotional depth of a musician, and the steady, quiet loyalty of daily anchors like Jeffrey, Marty, and simple future joys, a person turns survival into genuine vitality. The trial by fire stops being a fire that burns you down. It becomes the exact heat required to forge a weapon of radical empathy, purpose, and lasting strength. Final takeaway: healing is not a passive event that happens to you. It is an active daily choice to step out of the shadows, take executive control of your health and mind, and build a life that is authentically, unapologetically your own.